Yo yo yo, it's Femtaz, and today I'm making a video on Civilization 6 and my opinion of it, my overview of it after playing for, as you can see on the screen here, over 1,100 hours. And for one, the reason I played a lot is I've had a lot of injuries, surgeries in the last pretty much a year and a half. So as soon as this came out, I bought it. I pre-ordered it actually in October. And when it came out, it's actually pretty nice because anytime there's a expansion that comes out with new content that you have to pay for, or that you have to pay for the download content for it, it automatically updates it right away. You have it right away. It came with like a little coin collector's thingy with some like coins of the different years of the Civilization releases. And so I'm gonna explain to you guys what the difference between Civ 6 is compared to Civ 5, 4, 3. My experience goes back to Civ 3, maybe even Civ 2, I don't remember, it was a long time ago. I did play a lot of Civ 3, and way back in those days I also, which I do now, I have the computer hooked up on the treadmill, so I basically just walk on a treadmill and play it to get exercise at the same time. So Civ 3 I played a ton, and the games for Civ 3 would last a long time. I mean, they were marathon games you could play for like 2, 3, 4 hours a day, and it still took you a month to finish a really long big map game. And the bigger the map got too, the laggier it got, the worse it ran. So it's come a long way. And Civ 4, I didn't get too much experience with it. I kind of didn't like it compared to Civ 3. I thought Civ 3 was better, but I think I played Civ 4 when it first came out, and I'm sure just like Civ 5 and Civ 6, when they first came out, it needed a lot of fixes, probably had a lot of bugs, took them a while to get it, to where it was actually good. Civ 5 I played a ton. I was over in China for about 5-6 years, and I played it over there, and I played it a lot. I loved it. I loved the diplomacy where you could, do the United Nations and end up, bribing votes and stuff like that, and end up winning that way. Plus, it was a big change from Civ 4, and I thought the religion was kind of a cool addition. I think Civ 4 had the religion in there too, but in Civ 5 they started to make it to where it actually mattered in the game, to where you depending on the religion where you had different benefits from it, and in Civ 6 it's come a long way with that too. I mean, now the religion not only has its benefits and customizations of what you want your religion to do, but you also have religious wars, which is really cool. So, I mean, not only, in the other games, they'd send over their missionaries or whatever they were in the other game, and, there's nothing you could do about it. And unless you were at war with them, then you could attack them. Now, if they're, coming to your cities and they're trying to convert your people, you can basically tell them to back off, Usually they tell you to, it's for the best of your people, which means they're not going to stop. Sometimes they'll agree with you and they'll stop temporarily, and then they usually go right back to it. But, it has an interesting twist to the game, and you actually have a victory condition with religion in Civ 6 where you can win the game with it. Basically, I think you have to take over like 50% of the player cities all converted to your religion, and it's actually not a really hard victory if you do it right. If you build the right buildings, you build the right wonders and stuff that help in that, or you pick the right civs. Some of the civs have really good benefits towards it. And it's an interesting aspect. I mean, there's a lot of conditions of victory in this game. There's still, of course, domination, where you basically take out everybody's capital. Other conditions, I can't think of the name. Culture, yeah, culture, where basically everybody loves you. And in this one, they have tourism too, and other little aspects. You have museums where, as you're finding artifacts and stuff like that, you basically put them in your museum. You can rearrange. I haven't messed too much with that, but it's another aspect. Certain civs are really good at it, and of course scientific victory. But it's not just, I think in the other one it was like you launch something to the moon and you win. But in this one it's like you have to do like 3 or 4, maybe more different achievements. Like, you have to launch like a Mars mission with a habitat thing, and I mean, there's a couple different things with science, and it's actually usually a longer victory condition than in like religion or culture usually is. the other thing too is like a lot. I got kind of a list here. I'll kind of try to go through some of this and not get out of my way here. But some of the new features in the game before every Civ 6 or every Civ game up to Civ 6, you have your city, and everything is inside your city, and it's good in a way but bad in a way. Whereas in Civ 5 and Civ 6, they changed that to where now when you build a city, you have where your city starts, but then you have districts. You'll have like a commercial district where your banks, your markets, your stock market, things like that all get built inside. You also have like your encampment, which is like your military district, and you start off with an encampment, and then you build like a barracks, and then like a military academy. There's different upgraded buildings you build inside that one. Same thing with industrial zone. You build an industrial district, and you build like different things in there that help. I forget what they're called, but there's throughout the game there's different buildings involved with industrial things that you build inside there. There's your religious district. You build like a holy site, and then you can build like a temple and all this things that. So basically your city is not all just in one little spot. You have your different districts across a huge section of the map. And the other difference is too, like if you in the other Civ games, you had to, if you wanted to have like a harbor and build boats, you had to start right on the shore. Whereas in this game, you can build a city as long as your borders eventually come into the water, and you have a water tile that's within your borders. Then you can build a harbor and everything else there, a shipyard, and build your stuff like that. There's a lot of interesting new wonders in here. Some of them you pretty much want to go for every time. The one I really like is the Venetian Arsenal, and with that one is basically once you build that, it's like a naval one, and when you build that, every time you build a ship or boat, you get 2 of them, which is really powerful. I mean, when you get to the point where you're cranking out units, you're cranking out battleships, or you're cranking out frigates, stuff like that. I mean, you can really overwhelm them with your navy, or just seal your power with that right away. And one of the other early ones, I forget what it's called, but it allows you to basically every time certain like a scientist or great engineers, you get 2 of them or they get 2 uses instead of 1 use, which is another powerful one. Another one is I forget what it is too, but every time you build it, you get 2 envoys. Envoys are like in Civ 5 you had trade routes to cities, and these are kind of like, they're not a trade route, but they're basically like they build up faction kind of with the city's envoys, and the more you have with them, the more likely they are to like you. It's not like Civ 5 where you can just bribe them, give them money, and eventually pull them to your way. You have to use envoys to do it. The other difference, which is really cool, is the city-states give you quests, and as the city-states give you quests, you basically I'll start a game here and kind of I'll load up a game that I have in here. There's different city-states as they, let's see, little Teddy Roosevelt here. They give you little quests like as you start off, and just say like train a horseman. So if you train a horseman, before that quest runs out, it lasts for X amount of rounds. Basically, then they'll give you like an envoy, a free faction trade route to them, basically. The other thing too that kind of goes in hand in hand with that is when you're researching different technologies and different like culture things. So you have like 2 different things, and what happens is when you research, like say you're doing shipbuilding, it takes you say 20 turns. There'll be something that says if you build 2 galleys, then you can get a little boost to that. So you build 1 galley, you build the second one, instead of being 20 turns, maybe it drops down to 15 turns. So it speeds up your technical skills you're gaining. Same thing with like the ones where you're, I forget what it's called, culture, kind of like culture ones where like you're learning new governments and stuff like that, or religious things, or war tactics and stuff like that. They'll have little quests too that you can do that'll speed those up, give you little technology boosts, or like the diplomacy thing boosts. Let me see on my play here. The setup's pretty much the same. You can pick how many countries you want to play against. Small map. Some of the settings I always do is I always set it to online speed, because if you don't, say you first start the game and you're building a let's say a builder, it might take you 6 turns. Now, that's on online the fastest. So if you put it on like one of the marathon speeds, it might take you like 25 turns to build a builder and stretch the game out even longer, which I don't think that's, I mean, I don't know why someone would want to play on something like that, you know, and make the game drag out even longer. But the difficulties, compared to Civ 5, they're actually don't, I mean, at first you're a little, until you learn the mechanics of the game and you learn how the AI works and that, it can be hard, but I really didn't have too much problem with it, and I advanced up the levels, the difficulties pretty quick. And you know, the other difference is too, like if you put in the barbarians as with the settings, it seemed like in Civ 5 they only bothered you. They really didn't bother the other AI, artificial intelligence players. You know, they just all came after you. In this game, when you have the barbarians in and their difficulties up, they harass you, and they also harass the other non-player characters. And just, I mean, they can basically hold them down if they don't take care of those barbarians early. They're hindered. Their growth is hindered by them, which is kind of cool because that's how it should be. You know, I mean, it's, if they're a problem for you, they should be a problem for everybody, and it works out. It makes it a more realistic gameplay. And let's see what else I have here. The other cool thing is too, like, you know, when it first came out, there was a lot of bugs, a lot of issues, and you know, a lot of things that, I mean, it took 5 minutes to play it and go, wow, this is wrong, this should be fixed. So you kind of don't know if they rushed it out too quick or they just didn't have good people testing it and finding these bugs and I mean, there's still problems right now. I can go on a list of them and be like, why isn't this fixed? Why isn't this fixed? You know, and they just came out with a recent patch in a new Civ, and they do that every couple months or so, where they fixed a bunch of bugs and stuff like that, or a bunch of AI, not bugs, but like things that just didn't work right, or were the ratios were like way off. Like for example, I like building, you know, a lot of airplanes. I build a lot of bombers. I build a lot of airplanes to defend my cities, and I've yet to have one game where the enemy actually gave me a problem with that. You know, I could send my bombers in and just obliterate their city, and they never had airplanes to defend it. I never had bombers come attack me. You know, so it's like the computer either doesn't know how to use the Air Force or wasn't doing it. But the last patch that came out, they had some notes in there about them changing that. The games I've played since then, I end up still beating them too quick. So the last game I just started, I play on a treadmill also, which, you know, has the game on there. I'm kind of like just sitting back and only fighting one neighbor near me, kind of letting the AI, the other civilizations get more powerful and build up, you know, hopefully a good military, a good air force, a good air defense with a lot of fighters, so that when I do finally decide to go attack them, that they can put up a good fight against me, you know, with our anti-aircraft guns, stuff like that. Because so far I haven't played a game where that's happened. So I'm hoping that the new patch where they greatly increase the AI for like fighters and anti-aircraft guns actually made a difference this game. Let's see, I'll load the game up here. This is a long time ago. Looks like I'm at war with 2 civs here. And the graphics too, that's another difference too that they changed. It's more like cartoony graphics, but it really helps the game to run a lot better. I mean, the other games, once you got up to like higher, you know, more of the map exposed, more of the civs, it just would run really slow and, you know, choppy. Whereas with the graphics like this, it seems to run smoother, and which is, I mean, you'd rather have the game run better than have like awesome authentic graphics where it just dragged down your computer and it was unplayable. So let's see some of my other things here. Talked about the Holy War. Some of the differences too. I'll talk about some pros and cons. You know, some of the pros. I'll go through the pros first. Okay, the pros are, you know, they are updating it often, adding new civs, fixing some of the bugs. I mean, there's still bugs in there now, things I don't like that I think they will fix eventually, but it's going to take them more time. Maybe they have more coding issues that they're working on than, you know, things that bother some of the players. The price is a little, I mean, I'm not sure, I haven't looked in a little while, but like, I think it's like around $60 still. They had it on Steam. I mean, you have to play it through Steam also, which, I mean, I don't know if you have to, but when I installed it, it made me get my Steam account, and I have to play it through Steam. So there's probably a way you can play it without, but I just play it through Steam like it's like they want you to. And I think it was maybe like about a month ago, Steam had like it was off. It was like a, want to say 25 or 33% price cut on it or something. I forget how much it was, but it was on sale. And I mean, I already had bought it, so I didn't buy it, of course, but it's, the price is a little high. The online play is a little bit different too. I haven't played against other people online. What I did is I made an online game, and I teamed up with like a couple civs on my team, and then it was like me and one civ versus like 2 or 3 other civs with 3 civs in it, each one. And it was a little better. In Civ 5, if I played with like artificial intelligence on my team, if somebody declared war and like within 10, I think it was when 10 turns came up, they automatically declared peace, and you'd be right about to capture some city, and your allies would stop the battle, and you couldn't finish it, you know. Whereas in this game so far, when I did that, they didn't do that. If I wanted to keep fighting and fighting until I was happy with it, then that's how it worked. Your allies didn't automatically at 10 turns just declare, you know, peace. So, which was nice, because that's really annoying. So, some of the other pros, like when before, you know, to declare war in the other game, it was always a huge penalty, and there was no, like, you know, they could be attacking you, they could be harassing you, they'd be driving you crazy, and you declare war on them, you get the huge penalty. In this one, they give you multiple reasons to declare war. Some of them are like, you know, when you get to a certain technology, and if they're behind you, like really, really far, you can declare a war depending on that, and the penalties decreased a lot, you know. Or territorial expansion, if they're, you know, bordering your city or a few of your cities, or some kind of, there's some rules with it. You can declare a territorial expansion war, or something like that. And of course, the Holy War. If they keep converting your cities, and you know that's bothering you, of course, you can declare Holy War on them too. And while I'm talking about religion, the other thing you have is you start off with missionaries. Missionaries can go to cities. They can, you know, convert cities, try to, you know, change them over to the religion. Eventually, you get the ability to make inquisitors, and what's the other one? Inquisitors and well, I can't think of the name, but there's 2 different religious figures, and they can actually fight. You know, missionaries can defend themselves. Apostles, that's the other one, apostles. Inquisitors can go into cities and remove all opposite religions. So let's say you're Catholicism, and Islam is like being spread into your cities. You can take your inquisitor there and remove all the religion that's not yours. You know, whether there's like a little bit of Catholic and a little or Zoroastrian, whatever, it removes any religions that's not yours. The apostles, they actually are like the best at fighting. So say there's missionaries coming into your city, and you have an apostle. Your apostle, you can attack them and shoot like lightning at them and stuff, and only the missionaries can just defend themselves. So a lot of times I'll build a bunch of apostles and just have them around my cities, because you know that they're going to be sending over their missionaries, and then I'll just, you know, beat the crap out of their missionaries that come over, and slowly level up my apostles, and then eventually send them over to like invade their cities and convert them all to my religion if I'm going for a religious victory. But yeah, they're still improving it with patches. The Holy War thing is pretty nice. Let's see, going through some more pros here. Yeah, it runs smoother because, I mean, like I've played on like the largest map, and it still ran pretty good. So whereas before on Civ 3, it would never work. Civ 5, it would work, but it would really, really bog down your PC, especially the graphics card get really hot. I remember my laptop getting so hot it felt like it was gonna catch fire. It was just runs that graphics card really hard. Let's see. So that's a con. Promotions, yeah. With a military unit, stuff like that. With promotions, it's pretty cool. It's like a window, and on both sides you can pick from each side, and then you know you do your promotions, and you don't have to just go down one line. You can kind of jump across back and forth, and it's like a better explain to you like what each one does. And it's different too, that where, you know, it's not like, you know, you build a certain wonder and it automatically gives your guy a promotion when you build him. He starts off with that, just makes them gain experience faster. So if you build like a barracks, you build a military academy, the guys don't come out with like 2 ranks already. They gain rank faster. So as they fight, they get experience quicker, is how it works in this game. And promotions in this game heal you up also. So it's not like Civ 5 where you can choose a promotion to heal, or, you know, you lose your turn though when you do a promotion. So a lot of times if you're going to use a promotion, move a few spots, if they can move multiple spots, and then use the promotion and heal yourself up. Let's see. Yeah, the pros and cons also, like I said, like the fighters, you can set the fighter jets to like patrol. So like you can say they can fly like 10 spots away, you can have them fly like 8 spots away and just kind of like patrol that area. That way, if anything comes in that area or planes come through or hostile enemies, they'll automatically defend it, which is kind of cool. So now I'm going to go through some of the cons. Okay, there is no diplomatic victory. You can't. There is no at this point in September of 2017. There is no diplomacy victory where you can start the United Nations, win the United Nations, and win it that way. So I kind of like that, but it was really easy to win in the other game if you built the right things. You got the right, it was too easy to win that way, I think. So until they get a better system, I guess maybe it's a good thing they don't have it in. Some other cons, the price can be a little expensive. I mean, if you really like Civ 5, Civ 6, and it means the Civilization line of games, you're going to get it because it's a fun game and it's worth it. But it's a little pricey for somebody who you may really like it and you're trying to get your friends to play it, and they're $60. That's a lot of money. They're probably going to wait till it's really cheap to buy it, and you've already probably played enough that you're not as excited anymore. Another con, what I kind of hate is, they threaten you all the time. If you come near their border, they'll say, "Oh, are you trying to start a fight with me?" Basically, you go into war with me. You do a surprise attack. But then if they're on your borders, you have no option to threaten them. Like, "Hey, what are you doing on my borders? You getting ready to attack me?" You have no option to do that. That's a con I don't like. I want to be able to threaten them back. Just for that. Let's see. Yeah, that's another thing too. Open borders. Like say you declare open borders with another civ. So, of course, your guy's going to go through the borders because maybe you can't get past it to go explore new lands, or your guy's stuck behind a mountain, but he has to go through their territory, or if not, he has to go 30 spots around just to get back. So you declare open borders, you agree to it. As soon as you send your guy in there, then they start threatening you like, "Hey, why is your guy in my territory? Get him out of here." And it's like, "Hey, we have open borders. This shouldn't be a problem." And they threaten you, and then if like your guy keeps continuing on there, then you get like a big faction hit. It says, "Oh, you broke your promise to, leave his borders," or whatever. It's like, whatever, So that's one of the things that bugs me. It's kind of like a bug because I don't think it's intended that when you have open borders, they threaten you when you actually use it. That's the point of having open borders, is to use it to get through the territory or to explore or whatever. So I think that's a kind of a bug, or just a messed up concept that they haven't figured out. So let's see what else here. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like I said, the AI versus air. That's another thing that, they supposedly they increased that or fixed it or made it better, but I have not been able to test that yet. So I'm currently working on a game where I'm letting them build up their strength so that maybe by the time I actually go to some of these continents with these other civs, they have a good air force in place. I'm purposely not trying to like go dominate the world right away. So I'm kind of letting them grow and become stronger so I can test that one out. The other thing too, like Civ 5 had a feature when you're making a game where you put all the settings in. You want this speed, you want no barbarians, or you want this, you want to start at this age or whatever. You had all these settings you'd set up. You want it to be island plates or whatever, and then you'd start a map. And say it puts you in a really crappy spot like by the desert, and there's no like good luxury resources by you or anything. You could restart the map and it would randomly generate another map and put you maybe in a better spot where you're like, okay, this spot at least is a decent spot, and you start. So far, like I said, September of that I've played, 2017, they don't have that. At least they have one now where you can save the settings, but every time that I've redone it, at least so far, it's just the same map right again. So you save the settings, but it's the same map. It doesn't regenerate a new map with it. It doesn't have a random number generator in there or something. So I'd like to see that because that saves a lot of time. I used to do that in Civ 5. I'd start it and find a good starting spot. You're going to be playing, probably multiple hours in this map. So to start off in a crappy spot to play for a long time is kind of, you can do it and you can make it harder maybe for you, but you want it to be fun too. You don't want to be like starting with a hand behind your back in a really crappy position when the enemy has like a great spot. So that's one of the things I like to see added to the game. Let's see. New map, same settings, aircraft. Oh, that's another thing I noticed too. Like, eventually you can make fleets. You have a military unit, then eventually you can make like two of them together. You can combine two to make like an army or whatever, or a fleet, I think they call it, or and then eventually you can do three together. If you have enough like military academy, barracks, stuff like that, you can also produce them as like 2 or 3 units. So one of the first games I did, I was like, okay, well I'm going to do that with aircraft carriers, make, you know, a 3-1 so that I can put all my jets in there, or airplanes in there. You know, it'd be better than making like 2 or 3 that they only hold 2. So I did that. I made like a fleet which had like, you know, 3-star, basically it's like 3 aircraft carriers together, but it held 2. Just like the normal one, it held only 2 airplanes. So I'm like, okay, what's the point of having an aircraft carrier that's stronger but only holds 2 airplanes? I mean, why would I not just build one, and one, and then I'd have 6 airplanes that I could send across the water instead of one that might be a little stronger of taking a beating, but it can only hold 2. Yeah, so I think that's something they'll eventually fix. It's like an oversight or something, but it makes no sense. So that's another. I have it in the cons, but it's like I said, some of it's I think developing errors, or just they didn't think it through, or maybe they didn't put the right number in. Who knows? I think they have more things to worry about than that, maybe. But yeah, that's pretty much the cons against it. So, but yeah, overall, you know, I think it's worth it. I mean, I love Civ. I've loved Civ since Civ 3. I played it a ton. Civ 4 I really didn't get to play a lot of. I don't know if it was just I was busy at that point or whatever in my life, but then I got into Civ 5 a lot, and I've definitely been into Civ 6 a lot. And but like I said, the price is a con because I have nephews that love it. My brother, he loves Civ 5, but it's like he can't justify spending $60 on it right now, and it kind of sucks because I'd rather, you know, it'd be fun to play with other people, especially people you know. It's a lot of fun, and you know, I just gotta kind of wait till the price goes down and they get it. But it's a really fun game, and I highly recommend it. And it's getting better, and they're adding more things to it. So if you're thinking about Civ 6 and have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I'll try to get back with you about it and answer anything you have or any concerns. So, and I'll probably make a couple games too where I'll start a game and I'll go through the settings, but I kind of want to just use this as an introductory, you know, is it worth it to you? Is it not worth it to you?